Hare Krishna, a very warm welcome to all the devotees to our program on Srimad Bhagavatam study. In today's class, we will continue our discussion on the second chapter of the second canto, starting from the verse number 33. We will conclude this chapter today. It is till 31st, till 37th verse. The topic of this second chapter is the Lord in the Heart. The title of this chapter is The Lord in the Heart. Overall, this is our 56th class. For all other previous classes, please feel free to visit our channel on YouTube, which is Gita Online Study. All the previous classes are there. And now we will move to the Mangalacharan. So today, Mangalacharan was designated to Anupama Mataji, who is not available at the moment. So anyone would like to volunteer for doing the Mangalacharan?
I can do, Prabhuji.
Okay. Jivan Prabhu, please proceed.
Hare Krishna, Mangalacharana. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Sakshururmilatamyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavansya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Samsajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakatanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tirubhyascha Kripa Sundibhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very nice, very nicely recited. Okay, now we will move to the next part of our program, which is the recap of the previous class. So the class number 55, we had discussed from verse number 8 all the way till verse number 32 of the second chapter of the second canto. And I have very briefly summarized all the points in this recap session. So the whole point of the discussion in the second canto so far has been that at the end of the first canto, there was a couple of questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami, which forms now the basis of the rest of the Bhagavatam. These are very important questions. The two most major questions were that what is a living entity supposed to do in his life in general, and the second one was what is somebody supposed to do specifically if that person is about to die. So the activity of a dying person and activity of a person in a life in a general way. So these two questions majorly were asked, and in order to respond to these questions, Shukdev Goswami starts to describe in the starting of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And interestingly, the answer to both these questions was given by Shukdev Goswami in first 11 verses of the second canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one may say that in a way, the questions have been answered, job done, Srimad Bhagavatam lecture over. But we have so many other books by Srila Prabhupada, so we understand that Bhagavatam is not yet so over so quickly. Shri Shukdev Goswami continues to explain further. So in short, the answer to the question that Parikshit Maharaj had asked, what is the duty of a person who is about to die? The short answer is that the duty of that person is to perform bhakti of Lord Krishna. So that was the short and sweet answer that Shukdev Goswami gave in first 11 verses. But then Shukdev Goswami knew that in the assembly of the sages that has come to hear me, this discussion with Parikshit, actually there are many people who are from Ashtang Yoga background, Dhyan Yoga background, and they have this opinion that the duty of a dying person is actually Ashtang Yoga or Dhyan Yoga. So then he starts to explain about Ashtang Yoga and Dhyan Yoga. And in order to explain about Ashtang Yoga, he describes that there are actually two types of Ashtang Yogis. One type is somebody who is a neophyte, who is a beginner Ashtang Yogi. And another type is a very advanced Ashtang Yogi. And what is the difference between a neophyte and an advanced Ashtang Yogi? Neophyte is mainly since he has not completely got rid of desires in his heart, he is considered to be a neophyte. He still has some desires in his heart. And the advanced yogi is somebody who has controlled all the desires, who has purged out all the desires from his heart. So that is primarily the difference. Since there is a difference between neophyte and the advanced Ashtanga Yogi, the way they perform the fifth, or I would say the sixth limb of Ashtanga Yoga, which is Dharana, the way they perform the sixth limb of Ashtanga Yoga is different. A neophyte focuses mainly on the Virat Roop form of the Lord, and the advanced yogi focuses mainly on the Paramatma form of the Lord. That is typically has been the discussion before our 55th class. But now we are into verse number 8 till 12, where Shukdev Goswami is giving the description of Paramatma in the heart of the Ashtanga Yogi. So what does this Paramatma look like? We also saw in the previous chapter that a description of Virat Roop, elaborate description of Virat Roop has been given by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. So here in verse number 8 to 12, the description of Paramatma, which is the Dharanashraya of advanced yogis, has been given. Dharanashraya means in the stage of Dharana stage, what is the ashraya? What is the object of meditation of this advanced yogi? And there is a elaborate description given. We are not covering all the points. Devotees can refer to our previous class recording if they want to hear all those descriptions, or they can read it from Srimad Bhagavatam directly itself. But in order to just to give you a little warm up, the description gives that what is the size of the Paramatma. It is mentioned it is 8 inches long, and then this Paramatma form is Chaturbhuj form, which has 4 hands, with one hand having conch shell, then the another one having a chakra, another one having a lotus, and the fourth one is having a gada, which is mace. Like this, it is also mentioned he has a fresh garland around his body. He has ornaments with jewels and so on and so forth. So elaborate description is there. So that is verse 8 to 12. Then in verse 13 to 14, Shukdev Goswami is kind of summarizing the discussion so far. So he's saying that the Dharanashraya of advanced yogi is Paramatma, and for a neophyte yogi it is Virat Rupa. So that is something which is summarizes in 13 and 14. In 15 to 21, he now elaborates upon the practice and the process of liberation by advanced yogi. So far he has given the answer. The Dharanashraya of a neophyte yogi is so and so, Dharanashraya of advanced yogi is so and so, Now coming to the next part, how do they get liberation? How a advanced yogi is getting liberation and how a neophyte yogi is getting liberation. So there is a difference. Advanced yogi follows the 5 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar. After Pratyahar, he enters into Dharana stage. In Dharana stage, he meditates upon the Paramatma form. And after meditating upon the Paramatma form, then he moves to the next stage, which is Labdhop Shanti, where he gets really a lot of peace. All kind of desires, all kind of, he enters into a deep meditative trance, focusing on the Paramatma form, and he attains uh, a deep peace, a very peaceful bhav, or a very peaceful uh, emotion is there now inside this advanced yogi. And after that peaceful uh, uh, emotion, then comes the next stage, which is called Brahman realization. Brahman realization. Now he has already become Brahman realized. Brahman realized means he is now as pure as Supreme Brahman, or as pure as the Brahman, which is the similar stage which we study in Bhagavad Gita also, which is Brahma Bhuta. So Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma na Shochati na Kamshati. So at this stage, he is very, very peaceful, very, very uh, 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 delightful stage at the moment. And then now it is the stage where he can leave his body. And the way he leaves his body is doing by Shat Chakra Yoga. So Shat Chakra Yoga means in this stage, he has this Pranavayu situated in the Mooladhar Chakra, which is near the portion of our body which we use for evacuating stool, that is anus. So from that part, in the Mooladhar Chakra, the Pranavayu is lifted very carefully and slowly all the way up to the Agya Chakra. Agya Chakra is the chakra which is between the 2 eyebrows. From there, this yogi leaves through the Brahmarandra. He pierces the Brahmarandra, the skull, the top portion here, and then he closes all his openings here, the nostrils, the ears, the mouth, and so on. And then he pierces, and then through Shat Chakra, he attains this liberation. So in the 15 to 21 verses, the process of liberation for an advanced yogi has been described. Now, then we understand that Shukdev Goswami elaborates how the neophyte yogi gets liberation. So we understood that the neophyte is different from the advanced. So neophyte process of liberation is known as Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti. So Krama Mukti process, in this process, the neophyte yogi does not get liberation directly. So directly means like we have direct flight from Bangalore to Delhi. So you board the flight in Bangalore and directly land into Delhi. There is no stop, non-stop. So that is the process of the advanced yogi, direct liberation. But the neophyte yogi does not get direct liberation. He doesn't go directly from Bangalore to Delhi. He, first of all, from Bangalore, he will go to maybe Belgaum, then from Belgaum to maybe Goa, then from Goa to maybe somewhere in Rajasthan, then from Rajasthan, maybe somewhere in Haryana, then sometimes, then finally reaches to Delhi, like this. So like this Krama Mukti process. Krama Mukti means liberation, but gradual. So he will go first of all to Vaishvanar Lok, then will go to Shishumar Lok, then Mahar Lok, then Brahma Lok. Ultimately, he'll go to Brahma Lok. Why to different lokas? Because he still has some desire. He has this desire to visit different lokas, like a tourist. So they are already advanced in their sadhana, in their process of Ashtanga Yoga, and because of that, they get some siddhis, and they are now capable to visit different lokas. So they don't want to go to Delhi directly. They just want to explore different places. So that is how they go. Vaishvanar Lok, Shishumar Lok, Mahar Lok, Brahma Lok, and so on. After reaching Brahma Lok, this yogi has two options. Either he continues to live in Brahma Lok till the time Brahmaji is finally dies, and then there is destruction, the whole universe is destroyed till the next creation. So at that moment of time, this neophyte yogi get liberated together with Brahmaji. at the end of life of Brahmaji. The second option is that if he don't want to live in Brahmalok and has developed this desire for liberation, then he has to pierce these 7 coverings of Brahman. So at the border of spiritual world and the material world, there are 7 coverings: earth, air, water, fire, like that. There are 7 coverings. So this neophyte yogi has to pierce these 7 coverings of Brahman, like that. And ultimately, after piercing these 7 coverings, he attains liberation. He enters into Brahma Yogi. So like this. So the process of liberation for advanced yogi and the neophyte yogi has been discussed. That is where we left our previous class. I also try to explain you the whole process through this flow chart, and I can just quickly show it to you. So these are the first 5 stages of Ashtanga Yoga till Pratyahar. And now, if the yogi has desire, if a neophyte yogi has desire, he goes this way. Advanced yogi has no desire, he goes this way. And then from there, he processes dhyana, samadhi, then Brahman realization, then Shat Chakra Yoga, then ultimately liberation. For the neophyte yogi, he meditates upon Virat Roop form. If he develops no desires, then he again follows the same process as Ashtanga Yoga, as the advanced yogi. But still, if the desires are there, yes, then he goes to Vaishvanar Lok, Shishumar Lok, Mahar Lok, Brahma Lok. Then he pierces these 7 coverings, which are like earth, water, fire, air, ether, false ego, Mahat Tattva, like that. These 7 layers he covers. Ultimately, he pierces Pradhan and then achieves liberation. So this is the process of Krama Mukti, explained neatly in the form of a flow chart. Now we will move to the topic of the class today. So as you can see, we have already covered till this part. This is the overview map of the second canto, second chapter. So we have discussed till 32nd verse. Now today's class, we are going to start our discussion from the 33rd verse, and we will cover till 37th verse. And I expect we will be able to cover this maybe in 40 minutes or so. And then the last 20 minutes we will spend on the 3rd chapter. We will cover some portion of the 3rd chapter as well. So today, in 33rd to 37th verse, Srila Shukdev Goswami is going to give his opinion, which is the best process. So here we are linked to the next section. Linked to the next section means what has happened in the previous section. In the previous section, the description has been given about Ashtanga Yoga. In Ashtanga Yoga, the process of liberation for a neophyte yogi has been described. The process of liberation of the advanced yogi has been described. Shukdev Goswami took this discussion mainly to address the opinion of some of the sages who held this opinion that Ashtanga Yoga probably is the dharma or the duty of a person who is supposed to die. So in order to address this opinion, Shukdev Goswami has described the process of Ashtanga Yoga. But now, Shukdev Goswami is taking us to the section where he is giving his own opinion. And his own opinion is that actually sadhana bhakti is the best process. Sadhana bhakti is the best process. So here, maybe we can invite some of the devotees who may be willing to read in the class. So can we request somebody to volunteer?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Anuradha Mataji,
Hare
you would like
Krishna
to read?
Prabhuji.
Okay.
I would
Yes.
also like to read.
Okay. So we have Anuradha Mataji and Vrindavaneshwari Mataji. Okay. Anuradha Mataji, please
Yeah,
read.
yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Please read.
After describe the path of Ashtanga Yoga preferred by some sages in the assembly, Sukadeva Goswami now gives his own opinion.
So he is now giving his own opinion. He is addressing the opinion of the assembled sages, but now telling his own opinion. So from the 33rd verse, we are going to continue that. And his opinion is, okay, please read this
His
as well.
opinion. Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yeah.
His opinion. Sadhana Bhakti, the best of all paths.
Yeah. Okay. So after giving his opinion, Oh, sorry, he will give his opinion now, but I am giving you the crux of what is his opinion is. His opinion is the sadhana bhakti is the best part. Okay, we have some verses to recite today because these are important verses, very nice, elaborate verses on glorifying sadhana bhakti. So, Mataji, please read together with me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Nahyatonyah shiva pantha
Nayato Shiva Panta
vishata samsruta viha
Vishata Samsrtaiha
vasudeve bhagavati
Vasudeve Bhagavati
bhakti yogo yato bhavet.
Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhavet.
Please read the translation.
For those who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed at in the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna.
Direct devotional service of Lord Krishna. Nahi ato nyaha shivaha pantha. Pantha means the path. Shivaha. Shiva means auspicious. Auspicious. Anyaha. Anya means no other. Anya means no other. And then na means no. So there is no other auspicious path. Vishataha samsratav iha. Vishataha. Vishata means those who are wandering. Samsrata means in the material world. Iha means here. So in this life, those people who are wandering in the material world, in the material existence, there is no other auspicious path. Then what? What is that auspicious path? Vasudeve Bhagavati. Vasudeve Bhagavati. So Vasudeve Bhagavati means Lord Vasudev. So Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhave. So it is actually the Bhakti Yoga or the Bhakti of Vasudeva Bhagavati, Lord Vasudev, Yato Bhavet. Yato Bhavet means that is actually the path which is the most auspicious. So for those who are wandering, Vishate Samsruta Iha, in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance. Anyaha Shiva Pantha, na yah ato Anyaha Shiva Pantha. What is aimed at in the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna. So this is the conclusion, this is the opinion of Shukdev Goswami. And if you read Srila Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada has taken at least 4 references from Srimad Bhagavad Gita to support this opinion that Bhakti Yoga actually is the best path. So he is giving references from chapter 12, verse number 5 of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 12.5 actually says that it is all about when Arjun asks question that which path is better, to worship the Sakar Roop or to worship the Nirakar Roop, Nirvishesh. So Lord Krishna gave that his opinion that actually Sakar is the best. For Nirakarvadis, for people who are more interested in the impersonal liberation or impersonal form of the Lord, the progress is very, very difficult. Progress is very, very difficult. So this is one reference from Gita Prabhupada is giving, elaborating on the point that Bhakti Yoga actually is the best. Then he gives another reference, which is 7.19, and it is about Bahunam Janmanamante, Bahunam Janmanamante, which means that Jnanvan Mam Prapadyate, that those who are looking for knowledge, they may wander for many, many lives, but at the end, that person who understands that Vasudeva Sarvamati Sa Mahatma Sadurlabha. So that transcendentalist who come to understand that Vasudev actually is the goal of life, that person is very, very rare. So again, this 7.19 establishes that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost. Again, he refers 6.47, 47th verse of the 6th chapter, where different type of yogis have been described, and the best yogi is Bhakti Yogi. Then he gives 18.66, the almost last verse of Bhagavad Gita, 66th verse, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Again, this verse also emphasizes that the Bhakti Yoga is the best. Actually, if you look and read Srimad Bhagavad Gita with care and attention, then you will find that every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, almost every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the glorification of Bhakti Yoga is there. Even Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, the second chapter, sixth verse, Suta Goswami says, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshati. Because a similar question has been asked by the sages of Naimisharanya. What is the best means of liberation, or what is the best means for a transcendentalist to follow in this world? So Suta Goswami replies, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshati. So like this, Prabhupada in his purport from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is directly the word of Supreme Lord Krishna, is elaborating and supporting this point that Bhakti Yoga Yato Bhave. So Bhakti Yoga is the best process. Okay, we move to the next one. Now he is giving another, Sri Shukdev Goswami is now giving verdict of Lord Brahma. So when we have to support our point, we give references. Say, see, such a person is also saying, he is also saying, that is also saying. And they are not ordinary person. So he is quoting Lord Brahma, who is the creator of universe. Okay, Mataji, we'll recite this one also.
Yes, Prabhu.
Bhagavan Brahma Karthena
Bhagavan Brahma Kartyena
Trir Anvikshaya Manishaya
Trir Anirikshya Maniksaya
Tad Adhyavasyat Kutastho
Tat Adhyavastyat Kutastato
Pratir Atman Yato Bhavet.
Ratir Atman Yato Bhavet. The
So
great,
Bhagavan, yeah, yes, please
the
read.
great personality of Brahma, with great attention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times, and after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion.
Now he's giving a very important verse, and you can see the details are very interesting. Bhagavan Brahma Kartsena. Bhagavan Brahma is referring to Lord Brahma. Kartsnena. Kartsnena means succinctly or in summary. Trir Anvikshaya Manishaya. Trir Anvikshaya Manishaya means Trir means 3. Anvikshaya. Anvikshaya means very dedicated. I mean, it is scrutinizingly. Scrutinizingly means we are studying with some purpose. There is a casual reading and there is a scrutinizing reading. Sometimes we read some novel or some story book very casually. We are not very much bothered about what are the details and so on. We are simply reading very casually. But sometimes we read very scrutinizing. Scrutinizingly reading means weighing each and every word, each and every sentence, each and every paragraph. Probably we are looking for some very critical information. We are reading it with some great objective and so on. Typically, when we are looking for some great objective, we read very scrutinizingly. And Manishaya, Manishaya means intelligently. So it is not like very casual reading. He has given it a very deep reading, very scrutinized reading, and that not to one or twice. 3 times he has given that reading. So you would typically see that editors will read like this because they have to correct the grammar, correct the connection between the paragraphs and so on. So that is how the editors will read. Then Tad Adhyavasyat Kutastho. Adhyavasyat means then he came to a conclusion. Kutastho. Kutastho means after deliberating it completely with steady mind, after reflecting it upon, after giving it a proper thought. Tad adhyavasyat kutastho ratir atman yato bhave. Ratir means attraction. Atman is actually here referring to Lord Krishna. Ratir atman yato bhave. So yato bhavet means by that activity which brings ratir atman, means attraction to Lord Krishna. That activity, in other words, that activity means pure devotional service. So Brahmaji came to this conclusion with so much deliberation and with so much effort. 3 times he studied the Vedas and scrutinizingly examining them. Then he came to Adhyavasyat Kutasto. Then he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, actually is the highest perfection of religion. So you can see such a very important verse where quotation has been given from Lord Brahma's experience and Lord Brahma's authority. And Lord Brahma is not an ordinary authority. What is special about Lord Brahma? The speciality about Lord Brahma is that he is the first being in the universe who hears Vedic literature directly from Lord himself. So you know how the creation takes place. First of all, the Mahavishnu, the pores from Mahavishnu, there are universes are emanating. Then this Mahavishnu expands and enters into these universes as Shirodakshai Vishnu, and then Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and then this Garbhodakshai Vishnu's navel, a lotus emanates on which Lord Brahma comes. So this Lord Brahma is completely ignorant of what am I supposed to do. There's nobody here. Then the Lord gives through the heart knowledge to this Lord Brahma, and this knowledge is about the Vedic knowledge. That is how Lord Brahma's special position is. So in Bhagavad Gita also there is a verse very similar which says that the conclusion of Vedas is actually bhakti to Lord Krishna. So can somebody from the class remind which verse is that in Bhagavad Gita where it says that the conclusion of Vedas is me, where Lord Krishna says the conclusion of Vedas is me, or the conclusion of Vedas is to know me? Maybe that gives you some hint. Okay, I will not bother you too much. Vedaischa sarver ahameva vedyo vedant krid vedavit chaham. So in 15th chapter, Lord Krishna says that Vedaischa sarver ahameva vedyo. Among all the Vedas, the purpose of Vedas is what is supposed. It is to know me. Vedant krid vedavit chaham. I am actually the creator of Vedanta, and I am the knower of Vedanta. So that is where in Bhagavad Gita also a very similar theme is there, where Lord Krishna also confirms that I am the purpose and the goal of Vedas. And here also Lord Brahma, after reading three times, came to the same conclusion that I am the purpose of the Vedas. Okay, we move to the next one, 35th Mataji. So we'll recite this as well.
Yes, Prabhu.
Bhagavan Sarva Bhuteshu
Bhagavan Sarva Bhuteshu
Lakshita Swatmana Harihi
Lakshitan Swatmana Hari
Drishyar Buddhaya Dibhir
Drishyar Buddhi Adibrasta
Drishya Buddhaya Adibhir Drishta
Drishyar Buddhi Adibhrishta
Lakshaner Anukampakaihi.
Lakshanair Anukampahai
Lakshaner Anumapakaihi.
Lakshanair Anupapakahai
Anumapakaihi. Yes, correct.
Anumapakhai. The
Yes,
personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence.
Now, Shukdev Goswami is elaborating on the topic that he has started. He's saying that bhakti is the best process, and that Bhagavan, whose bhakti we are going to do, is actually in every living being and along with the every individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. Now, the purport of this verse, if you see, Srila Prabhupada has spent 4 pages of this book in explaining this particular verse. And this is something which is very interesting to understand. A very nice purport Prabhupada has given. So first of all, before we enter into the beauty of the purport or the points covered in the purport, let us first of all reflect a little bit on the verse. Bhagwan Sarvabhuteshu Lakshita Swatmana Harihi. Bhagwan Sarvabhuteshu Lakshita Swatmana Lakshita Swatmana Harihi. So, what is the first line is trying to say? Bhagwan Sarvabhuteshu. The Lord is there in every living entity. Sarvabhuteshu. The personality of Godhead is in every living being. So, Bhagwan Sarvabhuteshu. Lakshitah Swatmana Harihi. Lakshitah Swatmana Harihi. Lakshitah means it is visible, it is being observed. Swatmanaha. Swatmana means together with the soul. Harihi. So the Lord is there situated in every living being, together with the living being, together with the individual soul. So that is what it is being mentioning in the first two lines. Then the last two lines are even more interesting. Drashyair buddhi adibhir drishta lakshanair anumapakai. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our act of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. Drashyair buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. Adibhir, buddhi and together with intelligence, drashta. Drashta means if somebody wants to understand about the Lord, how can one understand? He can understand about the Lord using one's intelligence. And Lakshanair Anumapakai. Lakshanair Anumapakai means by different conceptions, by different understandings, using the intelligence, somebody who wants to understand the Lord, using his intelligence, using his experience, using his realizations, he can understand the Supreme Lord. So that is the process of understanding the Lord. And if you read the purport,
yeah,
sorry about it. Okay. Now, if you read the purport of this by Prabhupada for this particular verse, Prabhupada starts the discussion by saying that generally people give this argument that since they are not able to see the Lord, how can they believe in it? How can they take shelter of that such a Lord? How can they worship that Lord? And how can they worship the Lord in a very loving way? It is very difficult because we are not able to perceive something. We are being told that there is Lord Krishna, but where is Lord Krishna? We are not able to see anybody, Lord Krishna, in a very personal way, like we see each other in this world. So when people are not able to see, people give this argument that we are not able to see the Lord, but so how can we believe in it? How can we take shelter of him? How can we worship him? How can we worship him in a very loving way? A very difficult process. But here in this verse, Shukdev Goswami is telling us, is giving us this idea how we can perceive the Lord. How we can perceive the Lord. So if you read this, the last line, and this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. And so you can mark these two, some of these phrases, acts of seeing and taking help from intelligence, like that. And 4 pages of purport, Srila Prabhupada has given very elaborate details. It is very interesting how the whole process of God realization, how the whole process of Krishna consciousness starts from the point when we don't believe in the Lord, we only have small faith in the Lord, in small faith in the process of devotees, in the process of devotional service. From that stage, all the way to prema and to believe in Lord and start doing loving devotional service to him, how this whole thing starts. And this whole thing starts by acts of seeing and taking help from intelligence. So acts of seeing means doing some service, doing some activity for the Lord, and taking help from intelligence. So by doing these two things together, we can actually start understanding the Lord, start experiencing the Lord, and move towards loving devotional service of the Lord. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. So there are two things that he's mentioning here. How do we give ourselves good reasons to understand the Lord, and how do we perceive the Lord? So the idea is using our intelligence. So one is one way to understand the Lord is by doing some service. So you would remember there is a very famous verse. अथा श्री कृष्ण नाम आदि न भवेद ग्राह्यम इंद्रियैः सेवन मुखे हि जिह्वादो स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यदा. अतः श्री कृष्ण नाम आदि न भवेद ग्राह्यम इंद्रियैः. What does it mean? That Atah Shri Krishna Nam Adi, say understanding about the name of the Lord, the activities of the Lord, the instructions of the Lord. Na Bhaved Grahyam Indriya. We cannot understand all these things with our material senses. We cannot understand it. But Sevan Mukhehi Jivhado Swayameva Spuratyada. Sevan Mukhe means once we start to do some service, which starts from the tongue, specifically by eating prasad, or maybe by glorifying the Lord, or maybe by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Sevan mukhehi jivvado swayameva spuratyada. Swayameva spuratyada means it will automatically be revealed to us in due course of time. Spuratyada means very fine, very quickly, very soon it will be revealed to us. So this is something which is referring to the acts of seeing. Acts of seeing means we start to act in a similar way, in the similar constitutional position as the devotee of the Lord, as the servant of the Lord. And this revelation, this realization, this experience of the Lord will slowly, or rather very quickly, will be revealed to us when we do some service like that. So this is one part of it. Then the second part of the verse is by taking help from intelligence. By taking help from intelligence. Now, a large part of Srila Prabhupada's purport is elaborating on this point. Taking help from intelligence. So, taking help from intelligence means when we came to Krishna Bhakti, how did we started developing this faith that Lord exists, Lord Krishna exists. Lord Krishna actually is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And whatever he says in Bhagavad Gita actually is the word of God. Otherwise, not many people will accept it like that. So how do we start to develop this intelligence? First of all, our intelligence starts to get developed by the understanding our own identity. Our own identity, the first lesson that we are given is, we are not this body, but we are a spirit soul. How do we understand this concept? We are not this body, we are a spirit soul. So Vaishnava Acharyas have a very unique way of explaining it. First of all, we try to understand that we are in this world and we have different we see different bodies around. But when we closely scrutinize our own body, so Prabhupada would sometimes do this activity with some children. So he will call one boy, he will say that, my dear boy, what is this? He will hold his hand, the boy's hand, and lift it up. The boy will say, my dear sir, this is my hand. Then Prabhupada will ask, are you this hand? No, I'm not this hand. This is actually my hand. So then what is this? This is my finger. So are you the finger? No, I'm not the finger. Then what is this? This is my eyes. So are you the eye? No, I'm not the eye. So the point is, with intelligence, with some common sense, we try to analyze things. And like this, by doing this analysis, we come to know that we are not this body. We are different from the body. This body actually belongs to us, and then we are actually the owner of this body. So my body, my pen, my bottle, my phone, my light, my house, these are different from me. That means these bodies belong to me, but I am not these bodies. So that is how the discussion starts. And then ultimately, from this discussion, the discussion moves a little forward. Now, he has started to understand that he is not this body, he is something else. He is something different from this body. Later on, the discussion continues to grow, and then he starts to realize that the body also has very different things, a very different kind of faculties, very different type of energies. For example, we have faculties of knowledge. What are the faculties of knowledge? We have hearing faculty, we have touching faculty, we have seeing faculty, we have uh, a faculty of taste. So like that, we have 5 such indriyas. Then we have 5 faculties of action: hand, leg, and then we have faculty of speech. We have faculty of evacuation, some excreta from our body, like that. So we have 5 karmendriyas, we have 5 jnanendriyas, then we have 3 subtle faculties, which are false ego, mind, and intelligence. So 13 in all. So with all these faculties, we understand, when we closely scrutinize and study them, so we understand them that we are not this body, but we are dependent upon this body. We are not independent of the body. We are dependent on the body. We don't have any power to move or perceive independent of this body. So we are dependent on this body. And little later, when we analyze the world around us, so we understand that for eating, for seeing, we need some faculties in this material world also. We need food, we need light, we need shelter. So we are not only dependent on our body, we are dependent on the material nature. Like that, we start to perceive ourselves different from our bodies and different from this material nature. Like this. So like this, using our intelligence, we start to come to this conclusion that we are actually spiritual and everything around us is material, because we are able to control these material things, and without our control, these material things are not useful for us. So this is how we slowly, with our intelligence, start to develop this understanding. And then when we come to this conclusion that we are intelligence, for matter to be controlled, intelligence is required, then at that moment of time, we start to think that everything around us is actually has been designed very nicely. I have not designed it. And we understand that in order to control everything, because we see sun rising, we see sun rotating, or earth rotating, we see rain happening, everything else is happening. And now, because of this conclusion that for controlling anything, we need intelligence. So because everything around us is also working so nicely, so beautifully, we understand that somebody is controlling this. So there is one more controller besides me, who's controlling everything around me that is happening. Then that is the point, that is the moment when the realization that there is somebody, supreme power is there, who is controlling everything. So like that, the point is, dear devotees, what Prabhupada is trying to say through his purport is that, and Shukdev Goswami is referring into this verse, is that in the beginning, we need to understand the Lord using our intelligence. And at the same time, when we do some service, when we do some seva, act of seeing, then also the Supreme Lord actually reveals to us. So ultimately, this is something which we can perceive, which we can identify on our own using our intelligence. Then what happens is, then ultimately we come to this conclusion that there is a spirit, there is a matter, and there is a supreme spirit. There is supreme spirit. And then we come to contact with some spiritual literature like Bhagavad Gita and so on, where we come to know that all three, that spirit, matter, and super spirit, actually are dependent upon Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then from Bhagavad Gita, we come to Srimad Bhagavatam. And from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we come to conclusion that devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, is the process to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So you can see how using our intelligence, using the faculty of scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and by Bhagavad Kripa, by the grace of the Supreme Lord, we can understand about the Supreme Personality of God. So this is how what this verse is being mentioned, and this is how elaborately Srila Prabhupada very beautifully has brought out all the points right from the beginning, how one can perceive the Lord and the Jiva. So Bhagavan Sarva Bhuteshu Lakshitaha Swatmana Harihi Drashyair Buddhi Adibhir Drishta Lakshanair Anumapakai. So a very beautiful verse where using our intelligence and our acts, our devotional service, our bhakti, we can understand the Supreme Lord. Okay, we move to the next part. So more recitation, Mataji. Tasmat Sarvatmana Rajan. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, Prabhu, I said. Tasma Sarvatmana Rajan.
Harihi Sarvatra Sarvada.
Harihi Sarvatra Sarvada.
Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha.
Shrotavya Kirti Avyascha.
Smartavyo Bhagavan Dranam.
Smartavyo Bhagavan Naram.
So does this remind you of anything? Okay, please read the translation first.
O King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, always and everywhere.
It is therefore essential that every human being hear about, Shrotavya, glorify, Kirtitavya, and remember, Smartavyo. So does it remind you of any other verse we studied in this canto? It was 2.1.5. Let me once again recite this verse. 2.1.5.
Same thing, Prabhu? Same.
No, just 1 minute, Mataji. Let me recite it for the devotees.
Yes,
Tasmat Bharat Sarvatma Bhagwan Ishwaro Harihi Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Bhayam. Smartavyascha Bhayam. So this is the verse number 5 of the first chapter of the second canto. So why Shukdev Goswami spoke this verse? Because he was answering this question, what is the duty of a dying man? So the duty of the dying man, he is giving Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyo Cha Echata Bhayam. So idea is the same thing he is repeating again in the 36th verse. Tasmat. Tasmat means therefore. Sarvatmana Rajan. Sarvatmana Rajan means Pratyek, every living being, every person. Tasmat Sarvatmana Rajan. Oh my dear king. Hari Sarvatra Sarvada. Hari Sarvatra Sarvada. Hari Sarvatra Sarvada means he is situated everywhere. Then how can we, what are we supposed to do? Or how can we understand this person who is spread everywhere? Shrotavyaha Kirtitavyascha Smartavyo Bhagavan Dranam. Bhagavan Dranam. Bhagavan Dranam means human beings. So human beings, in order to understand the Supreme Lord who is spread everywhere by Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, and Smartavya. So the point is, it is repeated. So things that are repeated actually are very important. If a writer repeats any point in his book, so you should understand that actually that is the subject matter of the book. That is one indication, that is one symptom. So similarly, here the speaker Shukdev Goswami is repeating what he had already said in the first chapter. Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyo Bhagavan Dranam. So the main duty of the human being is mainly to hear, glorify, and remember the Lord. Now, Prabhupada in the purport mentions some point. We recently heard Shukdev Goswami speaking about Virat Roop meditation, speaking about Paramatma meditation, speaking about Ashtanga Yoga, etc. But for a devotee, for a Bhakti Yogi, there is no need to bother about Virat Rupa meditation. There is no need to bother about Paramatma meditation. Only thing that we need to bother about is Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyo. About hearing about the Lord, glorify the Lord, and remember the Lord. So the remembrance comes when we do hearing and glorifying. Glorifying, or you may say that Kirtitavyascha means Kirtan of the Lord does not necessarily mean only chanting the holy names. We can speak Krishna Katha, we can speak about the glories of the Lord, Guna, Roop, Leela, Naam, etc., etc. Everything falls into the purview of Kirtan. Even discussion about our Seva also is included in Kirtan. So, there is enough Vedic literature available in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the form of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Valmiki Ramayana, and so many other literature books that is written about these books, Bhaktir Samrat Sindhu, Upadeshamrita, Ishopanishada, and so many other books have been written by our acharyas. So there is no dearth, there is no scarcity of bhakti literature. So we need to continuously focus on hearing and chanting. And once we do hearing and chanting very nicely, then certainly the remembrance of the Lord will come in our mind. The remembrance will manifest like that. So this is actually, Prabhupada is writing in the purport that hearing and glorification, Shravan and Kirtan, is actually the main duty of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means everywhere and always. Everywhere means you go anywhere, and in time, in the nature of time, always. So always and everywhere. That is actually shortly is known as Sanatan. So Sanatan Dharma is same as Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma means Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran. That is the main limb of Bhagavad Dharma. So Sanatan Dharma and Bhagavad Dharma is same. So Sanatan Dharma means you go anywhere or in any moment of time, in any time in your age, in your life, you always need to do these three things. Shrotavya, Kirtitavyascha, Smartavyo, Bhagavan, Pranam. So that is the main duty of the human being. So our main duty is not to meditate upon Virat Roop or Paramatma form. Our main duty is mainly Shravan Kirtan, and that will come, and from that will come remembrance also. Okay. 37th, Mataji. This is the last verse for this chapter.
Yes, Prabhu.
Now, this is something which is we need to recite.
Shall I recite, Prabhu?
Bhagavat Atmana Satam.
Vipanti ye Bhagavatátmana satam.
Kathamritam Shravanaputeshu Sampratam.
Katamritam Shravanaputeshu sampratam.
Punanti de Vishaya Vidushitashayam.
Punanti de Vishaya vidustitya sayanam.
Vrajanti Tacharana Saroru Hantikam.
Prajanti tatsarana saroruhantikam.
Yeah, please read.
Those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him.
So, Pibanti means drinking. Ye Bhagavat Atmanah Satam. Pibanti ye Bhagavat Atmanah Satam. Bhagavat Atmanah Satam means Bhagavat means Lord, Atmanah means very dear, and Satam means devotees. So Pibanti ye Bhagavata Atmanah Satam Kathamritam. So Bhagavata Atmana Satam means which is very dear to the devotees of the Lord. And what is very dear to the devotees of the Lord? Kathamritam. Kathamritam. So the nectar of the Katha of the Lord. And then how should we dear? Shravana Puteshu. Shravana Puteshu means Shravana Puteshu means the holes in the ears. Holes in the ears. So we need to drink this Bhagavat Kathamritam We need to drink this not through our mouth, but we need to drink them through our ears, through the holes of the ears. पिबन्ति ये भागवत आत्मना सताम कथामृतम श्रवण पुटेषु sambratam. Sambratam means completely. And what will happen if we drink this like from our ears? What will happen? What is the result? So there are two results given. Punanti te vishaya vidushi tashayam. Punanti te vishaya vidushi tashayam. So punanti means what? Purify. Te vishaya. Vishaya means worldly matters. Vidushitaya. Vidushit means polluted. Vidushita shayam. Ashayam. Vidushita ashayam. Ashayam means the purpose. So in our life, the purpose of our life is actually very materialistic. It is polluted with materialistic goals. So once we start drinking Bhagavad Kathamritam through the ears, then what happens? Our goal of life, which is polluted at the moment, polluted with material goals, material desires, that will become purified. Punanti. Punanti te vishaya vidushitashayam. And then once that polluted purpose of life is purified by hearing Hari Katha, then vrajanti tat charana. Vrajanti tat charana. Then only we will be able to vrajanti. Vrajanti means move, go back. Vrajanti tat charana. Saroru hantikam. Saroru hantikam. Charana saroru hantikam. Charana saroru hantikam means Saroru hantikam means lotus. Lotus. So there is the feet of the Lord has been compared with the lotus. So only then we will be able to reach close to the lotus feet of the Lord. So purify the polluted aim of life, known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him. That is the meaning of this verse. A very beautiful verse. Now, Prabhupada in the purport is saying that if we investigate the reason for distress of living entity in this life, what is the main reason for his distress? What is the main purpose? What is the main reason why the living entity is not happy? The main reason is because he wants to enjoy materially. He wants to maximize his resources by exploiting material nature. By maximizing this kind of resources, he wants to maximize his material pleasure. But he cannot do it. Why? Because the resources in material nature are always limited. And there is always competition among the living entities to maximize their pleasure. Everybody wants these resources. I also want, somebody else also want. And then there's a clash. There's a fight. There's a competition. So one is competing with other, another is competing with other. That is the reason why the living entity is in distress in this material world. So Mahatma Gandhi has said, there is enough in this nature for everyone's need, but there is not enough in this nature for anyone's greed. So one single person's greed is not enough to the resources of this material nature cannot satisfy the greed of one person. But there is enough. If you are looking for to satisfy your needs, then there is enough in this material nature. So the message is very clear. The message from the nature is that if we minimize our requirements and keep them limited only to our needs basis only, that is actually the real recipe for happiness. Simple living and high thinking. So we minimize our needs and we maximize our spiritual endeavors. That is actually the formula for happiness and success in this life. So this is what it is being mentioned, and how we can do that. Ultimately, we can do that by hearing Kathamritam, by hearing the nectar of the Katha of the Supreme Lord, and that will purify our polluted goal. Regularly, we hear Lord Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, like that. Regularly, we hear about the Kathas of Lord Krishna and Lord Ramchandra. The materialistic aim that we have all established in our life will get diluted. Now the materialistic aim will get situated or get replaced by spiritual aims. Spiritual aims is we need to serve the Lord, we need to serve the devotees of the Lord, we need to minimize our materialistic desires, and so on and so forth. And that is where we will develop this desire for the service of the Lord, and that desire will take us to the lotus feet of the Lord. Vrajanti tacharana saroruhantikam. Vrajanti tacharana saroruhantikam. Very beautiful line. So with this, we move to the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. And now I will like to invite Vrindavaneshwari Mataji to do the reading. So the topic of this, the title of this chapter Prabhupada has given is Pure Devotional Service, the Change of Heart. A very simple chapter, only 25 verses, conceptual wise also not very difficult to understand. So first of all, let us see the brief overview map of this third chapter of the second canto. From verse number 1 till 12, we are now going to discuss about demigod worship versus pure devotional service. I'll give you some explanation a little later. Then from verse number 13 to 25, Shaunak Rishi inspires Suta Goswami to speak. So after speaking till verse number 12, Shukdev Goswami stopped speaking. And then Shaunak Rishi, the discussion once again goes back to Naimisharanya. Now it was near the Ganga, where Shukdev Goswami is reciting Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Now once again the camera zooms out, and then the discussion goes back to Naimisharanya sages, where Shaunak Rishi inspired Suta Goswami to speak more about the conversation between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So there is one conversation, broader conversation going on in Naimisharanya between Suta Goswami and Naimisharanya, and within that conversation, this nested conversation starts. So there's a bracket, big bracket, and inside that bracket there's another small bracket. So in that bracket, the conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami is going on. So now it comes out, again goes back to Shaunak Rishi and Suta Goswami. So we will not discuss this 13 to 25, but we will cover as many verses as possible from 1 to 12. Okay. Mataji, please read the text.
Hare Krishna. Apologies for the yesterday. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, as you have inquired from me as to the duty of intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you.
Now, Shukdev Goswami has concluded the discussion by speaking this verse. The question was asked in the 19th chapter of the first canto. Shukdev Goswami started to explain from the second canto, first chapter, first verse onwards. Then first chapter, second chapter, he has completed his answer. In the third chapter beginning, he is saying that, my dear sir, I answered your question. You asked me what is the duty of an intelligent man who is on the threshold of death. I have already answered you. So now the discussion actually concludes. The question was asked and the answer has been given. And the speaker of the answer is saying that, sir, my response is now complete. So the purport of this particular verse in the purport, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes upon one important point. He's saying that although the books might be there, Srimad Bhagavatam is there, Bhagavad Gita is there, a lot of books are there, but in order to understand the spiritual subject matter, you actually need somebody to explain that to you. Like there would be engineering books available in engineering colleges, there will be medical books available in medical colleges, but the student need professors, lecturers, experienced doctors, engineers to understand the knowledge contained in that book. Similarly, you see here, Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring from Shukdev Goswami, a living person, a teacher, a guru. So Prabhupada is saying that spiritual subject matter can be understood to some extent from books, but ultimately, in order to realize them, in order to take maximum benefit out of them, we need a spiritual guide. We need a spiritual teacher. Without a guidance, without personal intervention of a spiritual master and teacher, spiritual knowledge is a difficult subject. It is not possible to understand. Similarly, Parikshit Maharaj had asked this question, and there were many sages in the assembly. In that assembly, sages hold different opinions. When Parikshit Maharaj asked this question, what is the duty of a dying man? Some hold this opinion that karma is the duty of the dying man. Somebody hold this opinion that maybe demigod worship is the duty of the dying man, or somebody hold this opinion as Ashtanga yoga is the duty of the dying man. So there were split opinions in this assembly. But when you have this learned teacher like Shukdev Goswami, he can actually reconcile everything. So the point is, dear devotees, even Lord Brahma had to read the Vedic scriptures 3 times routinizingly, using his intelligence to come to the conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga system. And what to speak of people like us, who are in this age when people have lost, most of the people have lost any enthusiasm, any inquisitiveness for spiritual subject matter. So spiritual teacher, a spiritual guide is really needed for understanding the spiritual subject matter in great detail. So this is the technique how we should approach, and ultimately Bhakti Yoga is the process which actually is the duty of a dying man, which actually has the potential to revive our lost relationship with Lord Sri Krishna. That is something which we need to understand. Okay, we move to the next one. Okay, so before you read this table, let me give you some a brief commentary on why this table automatically appears in this chapter 3. Ultimately, now Shukdev Goswami has answered this question, that what an intelligent man should do who is about to die, what an intelligent man who is about to die should be doing. But at the same time, he also wants to emphasize that people who are less intelligent, who are not that intelligent, what they actually do, who are about to die, or what they may want to do. So that's where he brings this topic of demigod worship. So demigod worship is mainly taken up by those people who want to derive some material benefit by that worship. Somebody wants some power, somebody wants money, somebody wants to be a great hero. Like that, there are multiple aspirations, desires, material desires, multiple forms. So how somebody who is not so intelligent may take to a religious process to satisfy his material needs. So that's where these verses have been spoken, from verse number 2 to verse number 9, where a list has been given by Shukdev Goswami that if you want to satisfy this desire, you worship this demigod. If you want to worship satisfy this desire, you worship that demigod. So Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, please read this list. Long
path
list.
Choosing, path chosen by less intelligent men and demigods to worship, the desire. Absorption in impersonal Brahma Jyoti, Lord Brahma. Powerful sex, Indra. Good progeny, Prajapati Daksha. Good fortune, Durga Devi. Power, Agni. Money, Vasus. To be a great hero, Rudra. Large stock of grain, Aditi. Heavenly planets, Adityas. Worldly kingdom, Vishwadeva. Popularity amongst general masses, Sadhya. Long span of life, Ashwini Kumara. Strongly built body, Earth. Stability in his post, Earth and horizon.
Table continues.
Beauty, Gandharvas. Good vibes, Apsaras, Urvashi. Dominion over others, Lord Brahma. Tangible fame, Supreme Lord, Yajna. good band balance, Varna, fast learning, Lord Shiva, good material relationship, Uma, spiritual advancement in knowledge, Lord Vishnu and his devotees, protection of heredity, advancement of dynasty, various demigods, domination over a kingdom or empire, Manus, victory over an enemy, demons, self gratification, moon.
So you can see here a long list has been given from verse number 2 to 9. And the whole idea is what Shukdev Goswami is trying to say is that intelligent man who is about to die will take to the process of Bhakti Yoga. But somebody who is not intelligent enough, who is kind of foolish or less intelligent, may take to demigod worship as the process. They may also not choose to take to demigod worship. They may choose to maybe still remain materialistic or atheist. But even if they choose to do demigod worship, that is also considered by Shukdev Goswami as a less intelligent decision. And typically we understand that devotees or people who take to demigod worship are driven by material desires. So somebody is worshipping Durga Devi, somebody is worshipping Lord Shiva, or maybe any other demigod worshipper may be worshipping that particular deity mainly to fulfill materialistic desires. And from where do we come to know this? We come to know this from the 7th chapter, 20th verse of Bhagavad Gita, where it says, Lord Krishna says, Kamas tastai hrita jnana prapadyante anya devata, prapadye anya devata. What does this mean? Whose intelligence, whose knowledge has been abducted by material lust, or kamastastai hrita jnana. Hrita means abducting, kidnapping. That somebody actually takes shelter of anya devataha, prapadyante anya devataha. So, like that, so those people who have material desires, they actually go or get attracted to worship the other demigods. Prabhupada in the purport also mentions that modern day scientists are also somewhat in the category of demigod worshippers only. How? Because demigod worshippers want something material benefit from their religious activity. And similarly, the scientist also wants some material benefit from whatever activity they are trying to do. Now, Prabhupada also continued to explain that even if we do demigod worship, even if we do worship of technology like the scientists do, they are not going to solve our real problems. Our real problems are birth, old age, death, and disease. These are our real problems. And only the process of bhakti, by following the process of bhakti, we can overcome the samsara chakra of old age, death, disease, and birth. So, the rarest of rare are bhakti yogis. Like you can see, so many different paths have been discussed so far. Ultimately, somebody might get attracted to demigod worship, somebody might get attracted to Virat Roop form, somebody might get attracted to Paramatma form, somebody might not get attracted to anything, they might still continue to be materialistic, completely 100% materialistic. So like this, there can be many paths one can take, one can fall into. But ultimately, Shukdev Goswami is trying to say that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost path. Actually, it is the rarest of the rare path. Not everyone is so fortunate to come to know and come to have this conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost dharma. And once we are doing Bhakti Yoga, we are going to get such a nice destination at the end of our life or at the end of our process that we cannot imagine about it. So you can understand it, because it is very difficult to understand it by our own intelligence. We need our own intelligence. We need guidance from spiritual master. We need scriptures, and then we also need the Lord's mercy to come to this conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is the goal of our life. That is mainly from this particular verse. But another important point that we want to highlight from this verse is specifically that if somebody wants spiritual advancement in knowledge, then that person need to worship Lord Vishnu and his devotees. Lord Vishnu and his devotees. So that is something you can see in the whole list, where Lord Vishnu and his devotees have been mentioned, where we need spiritual advancement and knowledge. But otherwise, it is all about material benefits. So that is what we see here. Even if somebody who is worshipping with material desire, but he is worshipping Lord Vishnu, then it is mentioned that the result actually for that worship is not same as that the result of demigod worship. Because if we have a material desire and I'm working and if I'm worshipping Lord Vishnu, then Lord Vishnu might fulfill that desire, but at the same time he will also try to purify me from that desire, so that I can ultimately get attracted to his worship in a very devotional way without any desires, like that. And that fact has been explained in verse number 8, in verse number 10. So Mataji, please repeat this verse with me. It's a very famous verse. Akama sarva kamo va
Akama sarva kamo va
moksha kama udaradhihi
moksha kama udarati
tivrena bhakti yogena
Tirena bhakti yogena
yajeta purusham param.
yajeta purusham param.
Now,
A person who has a broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead.
the personality of Godhead. So, what it is saying here, it is giving you several messages, this verse specifically. First of all, it is saying that in whatever category you may fall into, but if you are following the process of Bhakti Yoga, you will actually at the end of at some point of time in your life, or maybe in future life, will get attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Bhakti actually is meant for all. Even if you have a lot of material desires, you have no material desires, or you are desirous of liberation, in any category you are falling into, if you follow Bhakti Yoga process, that is supposed to be the goal of your life. Anyone may worship the Supreme Lord. Let us see the detail in Sanskrit, what it means. Akamaha. Akamaha means without any material desires. Sarva kamo va. Sarva kamo va means all kind of desires. Moksha kama. Moksha kama means desire only for liberation. Udaradhi. Udaradhi means an intelligent person. Tivrena bhakti yogena. With the you can say that with Tivrena bhakti yogena means intensely doing bhakti yoga with intensity, with great intensity. Tivra, with great intensity. If he performs bhakti yogena, then yajeta purusham param, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of God. So bhakti is meant for everyone. Anyone may worship, even if you have material desire, if you have no desires, and if you have desire for liberation in any situation of life. The goal is, the purpose is, the dharma is, the duty is to yajeta purusham param with tivrena bhakti yogena, like that. Now, in the purport of this, in this verse, Prabhupada gives very, very important points. He's saying that we all have desire to serve something, somebody. Specifically, we might see in our life, there are many people who are not very religious, but they have desire to serve. For example, serving the society, serving the family, serving the nation, like that. So Prabhupada is saying in the purport that all these desires of serving society, family, nation is actually a partial manifestation of desire to serve the Supreme Lord. So we want to serve somebody. Ultimately, we don't recognize, but our ultimate desire is fulfilled when we serve the Supreme Lord. But since we don't know about it, we try to fulfill that desire by serving the society, family, nation, etc., etc. So, if even if we have desire for materialistic gains, even if we have desire for liberation, or if we don't have any desire, akamaha, ultimately, if we direct it towards the Supreme Lord, then we will be supremely satisfied. We will be completely purified, like that. Now you can see there are several examples given here. So the example of akamaha, akamaha means having no desire. So it is actually being referred here mainly for devotees. What are the topmost devotees? Gopis of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani. So they don't have any other desire but only to satisfy Supreme Lord Krishna. That is the only desire that they have. Then mokshakam. Mokshakam means mokshakam is considered, which means desire for liberation. It is actually considered a desire because in that situation it is considered a desire where we want to get rid of this material existence in order to achieve peace, in order to achieve relief from distress. So when we live in this material world, we have a lot of distress. And once we get this impersonal liberation, we are very peaceful, like you saw in the previous verses where we discussed Ashtanga Yoga. So if somebody is doing mokshakam, is desiring liberation, but mainly for the purpose of getting relief from distress, actually it is also a desire. It is also considered in the category of material desire. So only people who are free from either materialistic desires or desires for mokshakam are the devotees who only have the desire to serve the Supreme Lord Krishna. And Prabhupada also gives this example of Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna developed this desire to see his relatives not die in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He desired that his grandfather Bhishma should not die, his teacher Dronacharya should not die, his kith and kins on the opposite side, they should not die. That was his own selfish desire. Although it was good in one sense, he was thinking of the benefit of the other person, but actually it is a selfish desire. So only when he purified this desire and replaced it with the desire to serve the Lord. And what was the desire of the Lord? Desire of the Lord was to fight the war and kill all those who were on the side of adharma. That is only when he actually could satisfy the Lord. So our whole life should be mainly to purify ourselves from material desires and replace them with spiritual desires. Spiritual desires means to satisfy the Lord, to satisfy the devotees of the Lord. That is our main desire. That should be the main desire. So that is what akamaha sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So if you follow the process of bhakti yoga, whatever stage you are, either you are a devotee, either you are a seeker of moksha, or you are a seeker of materialistic pleasure, you will ultimately get purified and reach the destination, supreme destination, which is the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay. Now we go to the 11th verse. The link with the 11th verse, Mataji, please read.
Yes. Will a demigod worshipper naturally graduate to Tivra Bhakti?
Now the question, let me explain. So far we have discussed about demigod worshippers, and then this verse has come, akama sarva kamo va moksha kam udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. So the question now arises is, if a demigod worshipper continue to worship demigods, will he naturally graduate to the worship of the Supreme Lord? So the answer is no. only simply by worshipping the demigod, he will not actually graduate to the pure devotional service, to the realm of pure devotional service. How he can get pure devotional service? He can get pure devotional service by associating with the devotees of the Lord. That is what the theme of this verse. So, etavan eva yajatam iha nishreya shodayah
Iha Nishreya Sodaya
bhagavatya achalo bhavo
Madhuvatya Achalo Bhavo
yad bhagavata sangatah.
Yadbhagata Sangata
This is sangatah, bhagavata sangatah. Yad bhagavat sangatah.
Yadbhagata Sangata.
So bhagavat sangatah. Bhagavat sangatah means the association of the devotees. Okay, please read the translation.
All the different kinds of worshippers of multi, I don't know what is this,
Multi-demigods.
multi-demigods can attain the highest perfectional benediction, which is spontaneous attraction, unflinching effect upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by the association of pure devotee of the Lord.
Only by the association of pure devotee of the Lord. So even if you are a demigod worshipper, that does not mean that if you continue to do that worship for long time, maybe this lifetime, next lifetime, then that will not arise any devotion for the Supreme Lord simply by demigod worship. The devotion for Supreme Lord will arise only when you associate with devotees. So bhaktya sanjayate bhakti. Bhaktya sanjayate bhakti means bhakti is produced by bhakti only or bhakta only. No other means can actually produce bhakti in you, within you. So this is what it is being mentioned. The demigod worshipper or demigod worship also does not produce bhakti in your heart. It gets only produced by when you associate with the devotees. Now, I have one question for the devotees present here. Between materialist and the demigod worshippers, what is the difference between the two? Who is the better? Because we have been condemning demigod worshippers. Who is better, a materialist or a demigod worshipper, and why?
At least demigod worshipper has some faith somewhere that supernatural power may be. Someone exists who can fulfill the desire, so he will not be as sinful as a pure materialist would be.
Very nice, very nice. Very good answer, Madhu. Very nice. So, materialist is completely ignorant about Vedic literature. But a demigod worshipper actually is in the purview of Vedic literature. He knows there are demigods. Beyond this creation, there is another existence where there are supernatural powers. There are supernatural beings who are controlling this nature. If I worship them, if I please them, if I make them happy, they will benefit me, and so on. So he has some understanding of transcendence. He is beyond this material existence. He has some belief there. So that belief can be easily converted to Shuddha Bhakti once he starts associating with the devotees, because he is already quite closely in connection with the Vedic literature, already quite closely in connection with the transcendence in some way, maybe not pure transcendence, but some kind of transcendence. So to make him graduate from this position to the pure devotional service is relatively much simpler compared to a materialist who does not believe in God, who does not believe in Vedic literature, and so on. So this is the formula that Shukdev Goswami is giving to Parikshit Maharaj, that if somebody is a demigod worshipper, he can be attracted to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord only if he starts to associate with the devotees of the Lord. So in this section, we have the 12th verse remaining, but in the interest of time, we will not cover it. I hope the class was interesting today. It gives you a good flavor, good idea of the last part of the second chapter and the beginning of the second chapter. Now we will conclude our discussion. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. we will take up some questions now, some comments if you have, and then we will announce the services for next class by in the weekdays. So these are not the people who are going to do these services, but we will announce it later. So any questions you have? Any comments you have?
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the last chapter that we discussed, the verse number 35, and thereafter, it is mentioned that if somebody wants to see Paramatma in the heart, then he has to engage himself in activities and he has to intelligently, I don't know how to say it, he has to
control the mind.
Reconcile, yeah. Then Prabhupada explains that while you are seeing the Paramatma, for example, he gives an example of engaging your tongue. Right? So, my question is, these people only believe, the Ashtanga yogis, that the indriya, all the senses, they are jada, and one cannot perceive it. So, are we actually discussing about the activities to engage through these senses in Bhakti Yoga, or is it really? I'm in confusion. So I want a clarification.
But these are not by material senses. They are perceiving it through the subtle senses.
Okay.
They are not perceiving it because they are completely, already they have completely shut down their material senses, in the sense that they are not connected, they are not using it for material viewing or for material perception. They are actually looking inward, and because now their heart is very clean, they are able to see the Paramatma in the heart through their spiritual senses. Actually, the power of senses come from the Atma only.
Yes.
It comes from the Atma only. Our gross senses also are able to see, because the Atma is supplying that power to see through the gross senses. That is how it works. So these yogis are able now to see the Paramatma in the heart through their spiritual senses, not through their gross senses.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much. That was a good question. And then let me check with Rajneesh ji, Srinivas ji. You have this is the first experience of our class. I hope this meets some of your expectation, and please give me feedback in case if you have any comments, any feedback for me. So we'll really appreciate. I hope you found it useful. Other devotees, if you have any questions, comments, please let me know. Yeah. No questions, no comments? Okay. In that case, we conclude the session today. We will continue our discussion next Sunday. Most likely, one of these Sundays, I have to take a break, not from the class, but from our continuous discussion or our regular discussion, because I want to prepare the quiz which is pending from my side, and I'm not able to get the time during the weekdays. So I have to spend my weekend for preparing the quiz. And during that weekend, we will do something interesting, something light. And I will announce the topic that we will do that most likely in the next weekend. So please join us maybe for some light, interesting spiritual discussion. So with that, thanks a lot. Thanks for your presence, contribution, encouragement, and so on. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.